Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our next EMA industry knowledge share. It's come up a couple of times in our leadership group calls on a Tuesday that what people are doing for Christmas, what feels right, what feels good, what ideas are out there for the virtual Christmas event, but also above, beyond that, about other ideas around team building, employee engagement, etc. So we went out to the market, we got some recommendations from our members, and we pulled together a very interesting panel to present to us in 3 quick fire 10-minute sessions. The guys from Wildfire Agency, Vespucci, that's going to be an interesting one, and Higher Space, about their big top, are going to share with us ideas that they've got and what they're doing to help people with their employee, even customer engagement. Some great ideas out there. So I'm going to hand over to Nathan from Wildfire Agency first. He's going to do a 10-minute presentation. Each guys are going to do 10 minutes, and then we're going to have a chat, the 4 of us, about engagement and people engagement. So Nathan, over to you, mate.
Okay, thank you very much. So what we're going to do, we're just going to share our screen so that everybody can see everything. So you will just see our Wildfire, the Experience Agency banner just there. And then what we're going to do, a lot of the online events that we're doing, we use our green screen studio, so it looks like you've got an actual TV presenter in the room for you. So we thought we'd showcase what that looks like for you. And so in 1 second, you will see me on screen. And here I am, hello. So this is the sort of green screen technology that we use for our different online events. And it means that whenever you book an online event with us, you have a host who will be in front of a screen, and this background can change to be whatever it wants to be or whatever you want it to be. So it can include branding, it can include anything about your company, or it can include the different online Christmas events that we're doing. So I thought I'd talk you through a few different things about us, and then a few different things about what we've been doing, and a few different ideas, and the importance of still having that employee engagement, especially around Christmas time. Everybody is suffering with lockdown, everybody's feeling the pain of it. So it's very important to put that stuff out there, make sure that you do something for your employees, and make sure they feel valued. So to tell you a bit about the history of Wildfire, I'll tell you this very, very quickly. We started as a company as Demon Wheelers in 1996, and predominantly up until March, all our events were not necessarily online, we're more outdoors, indoors, doing theming, doing prop hire, doing conferences, you name it, we did it. So we had all these different brands just here. And in 2016, we created Wildfire, which was all the different brands put together. So as you can imagine, our green screen studio is inside a 25,000 square foot warehouse, which is full of equipment that we can't actually use at the moment. So thank you, COVID, for that. So just going to say what we used to do. And when I'm saying we, I don't just mean Wildfire, I mean we as a nation, we as many nations. What we used to do for events, we used to do big team building events. We used to have lots of big get-togethers where everybody would be smiling. Look at everybody's faces here. They're enjoying themselves. They're smiling. They're enjoying what they're doing. So we used to do things like that. We used to also have big Christmas parties. Now, you would not be allowed to do this today because there is no social distancing going on just there. So we used to do lots of big prop hire, lots of big events like this. And for many, many different clients, and I'm sure you guys are the same, you're thinking, what can we do to get everybody together? Because you can't do something like this because it's now illegal. So what do people think online events look like? So people think online events look like this. Everybody just pulling faces into Zoom, not sure what's going on. Got their cameras at the wrong angles. Everybody's got 17 chins or whatever it may be. So that is what we want to get away from. That is what we want to teach people, that that is not necessarily what it actually has to be about. So what we actually do and what everybody can do, not just us, but what everyone can do, whether you're doing something yourselves or whether you're using one of the other excellent suppliers that are on here today, it's about actually doing something and having a professional approach to it. So hopefully you'll see from the way that I'm stood, the way that we're doing this, that it looks different to just a normal Zoom call. So we have a number of different events, lots and lots of different events. We've got over 20 different online events we can do, and that ranges from conferencing to things like music bingo. So what I'm going to do quickly, I'm just going to run you through music bingo, how it works. We can do this as an individual event, or we can do it as a team event. So it means it can actually have that team interaction, that human element. We know that everybody is missing the fun part of actually getting together. So what we're trying to do, we try and introduce the fun element of an event all the time, so that even if you are online and you're all in different spaces, different places, then you are still actually having fun with people. You're having a laugh, you're having enjoyment. So the way that music bingo would work is, if you had, say, 50 people, we would sign them on to whatever platform we're using, whether it's Zoom, MS Teams, WebEx, whichever one it may be. And then what we'd do is we would say to them that they're going to be split into teams. They're each going to have their own separate breakout rooms so that they can work together as a team to work out the answers to the bingo cards. So for the bingo cards, they would all be cryptic clues. So as an example, I'll show you one now. So they would get sent a link. This would be to a OneDrive account. We would then tell them the password on the call, so that if they've been pre-sent a link, they can't get on and they can't cheat. Then if you were team one, you would just click into team one. You would go to round one, team one, because you start with round one. And then what we do is, these bingo cards are editable. So you'd go to the top left-hand corner, open in browser, and your first round is anagrams. So you'd have to try and work out who these artists are. So best PR in years is actually Britney Spears, if you do it as an anagram. And then we have lots of different rounds that we can do. So you have anagrams, you have emojis, you have riddles, and all these different things. So they'd have 5 minutes as a team to try and work this out. Then they would come back to the main room. As soon as they hear a little bit of music, and of course we all know that's Britney, then what you'd be able to do is you just click through and you can put a little cross through that. So when they come back to the main room, the host would be saying, you're looking for a horizontal line or you're looking for a vertical line. As soon as somebody would have that, then what they would do is they would then put it in the Zoom chat or the MS Teams chat. They say bingo. We check it on our little bingo machine. If they have got bingo, fantastic, get 200 points. If they haven't, then they just go on to the next song and we keep playing bits of music until people have. So that's a quick run through of something like music bingo. That gets everybody in a good mood. We have got a festive music bingo where we just do Christmas songs. It gets everybody listening along to the music. You have that team interaction, you have that individual interaction, and it's also a competition. So you have prizes up for grabs. Another one we have is pole to pole, which is a race. You have groups split into teams who are going to race their way around the world, going from the North Pole to the South Pole. And the idea is that they're helping Father Christmas deliver his presents. They're split into groups. They have different challenges and questions that they must complete, all loosely based around the different countries that they go to. And then they are sending those in and emailing those across to us. And I'll show you an example of some of those in a second. We have another one, which is 12 Days of Christmas, which we have created a team building or fun event all around the 12 Days of Christmas. And yes, as a team, you will have to sing some lyrics from the 12 Days of Christmas. So we hope you know about Lord's Leaping. We have a murder mystery, which is the nightmare on Christmas. So this is all about a murder mystery that has happened around Christmas time. Groups sign on to the main elements. We have recorded messages of the different character profiles. We send those out to people. Then as a team, they have to try and work through the evidence to see who the actual murderer is. And all these different events all come with a host. So as you can see me on the green screen just here, we have a number of different hosts. And then on events such as pole to pole, when they're split into their different groups and they're making their way through the countries, we have a number of different event managers who work for us and are used to going out and interacting with people, doing lots and lots of events. And what we have is we have them just jumping in and out of different breakout rooms. So they can actually go in and out of the rooms, talk to people, have a conversation with them, and it gives them that same hand-holding experience. If people are used to running events and used to running team building or used to running fun events, they're used to having instructors there, they're used to having event managers there who actually handhold them through the whole experience. And we're still doing that from an online perspective. So it's quite important that when you're putting an event on, you don't want people to think you've done it half-hearted. You don't want people to think that you've not done everything that you could do. So if you are using a professional to help you put the event on, just little things like a green screen or little things like an overlay or having that interaction and it looks nice and clean, looks crisp, all things like that will actually make your employees think they've put a lot of effort in here. They've actually thought about us. And everybody gives a little bit more leeway because they think, well, nobody knows what's happening from one day to the next. Nobody knows what's happening from one week to the next. But the fact that people have thought about this and had a contingency plan in, I can tell you from the hundreds and hundreds of events that I have run so far during the pandemic that people feel massively grateful for putting an event on because it is just a bit of fun. And the way that we run the different events, whether it is around the world, which is one that isn't a Christmas-based one, this is one which is based on the book Around the World in 80 Days. So we did a play on words, called it Around the World in 80 Minutes. So this one is following the same route that Phileas Fogg followed. And then the feedback we have from this is absolutely immense. And all the photos, all the videos that get sent into us on the challenges, we actually download all those, we send them across to you afterwards, and then you can send them to everybody who's taken part. So it's a nice memento. Every event that we do, if there's a winner, which there always is, we have winning e-certificates that we can send out to people. So again, they have a little memento of the day. And it gives them, most of the events we run are about an hour to 80 minutes, and it gives them that little break from work for a little bit, or gives them a little break from life in itself as well. So the results. So I've done a very quick run through of only about 5 or 6 events that we do, but very quickly, I thought I would just show you some imagery from some of the events we do. So when I talk about the challenges that come in, so you will see lots of these different images and stuff like this that gets sent through. And the most important thing that you can see here is that people are smiling, they're enjoying themselves. And that is, for me, what is the most important thing about employee engagement. Everybody has been down quite a bit this year, but it's about making sure that people enjoy themselves. And that is it from me. So thank you.
Great, Nathan. Thank you very much indeed. I got one point that I think you're missing out here, mate. You should be dressed as an elf. Get
well,
that elf costume on.
We actually run a online escape room, and on the online escape room we dress as Father Christmas. So we do have plenty of outfits available, but I thought I'd just brand it up a little bit today instead.
Great. All right, so if you can shut your screen down.
Yeah, we'll stop sharing our screen now. Thank you very much.
We can welcome Alex. So I came across this company, Vespucci, really interesting. Being an out of doors person who loves to get out there on my bike or walking the hills, I think this is an absolute brilliant idea. So Alex, do you want to share your screen and tell us about yourselves? And I presume I'm going to get the pronunciation wrong, so please correct me.
No, you got it spot on, Richard.
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, morning everyone, and thanks guys for having us. Today I'm going to share a little bit about Vespucci, a company I co-founded a little over 3 years ago. Talk a little bit about the brand, but also about what we offer in terms of our corporate offerings. So I'll run you through those. When I started the company with my co-founder Peter, who I think is on the call now, our aim then is very much still the aim now. It's to try and inspire more people to spend time in the outdoors, spend more time in nature, and to try and encourage people to spend less time on their phone and on their emails, and try and highlight the benefits that walking can have, both from a physical and a mental perspective. Another thing we wanted to do was try and address some of the barriers of entry people face when they think about the outdoors. So those are, knowledge, knowing exactly where to go. We feel we highlight the best areas around the country that are accessible, which is another one. All our routes start and finish at a train station that you can actually get to and do within a day. We want to make our events and our routes as inclusive as possible. So, they're readily available for as many people as possible. And also cost. Hiking does not have to be an expensive activity. All you need is a pair of good shoes and preferably one of our maps, and off you go. So we do have a consumer side to our business, which you can find on our website. But today I'm going to talk you through what we offer under our Vespucci for Companies arm. And there are 3 categories within that, which I'll run through. One being corporate well-being. So we have a well-being scheme, relationship building through our guided walks, and corporate social responsibility on our bigger events. So I'll start with I'm also going to talk you through our Christmas adventure box, which I'll come on to at the end. So I'll start with our corporate wellbeing scheme, which we started at the beginning of lockdown, and it's called Walking from Home. So in simplest terms, if a company signs up to this scheme, it gives all their employees and staff access to our signature hikes for free. And what we do is we generate a unique code, which we send out to all the employees, which means they can go onto our website, choose the signature hike that's relevant for them, type in the code, and we fulfill it. We send it out to their home so they can get out walking the next day. So what most of you are probably wondering what a signature adventure is. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, Richard, it's not letting me share my screen.
Priya, can you jump in there because you're the host?
Okay.
Does that come up now?
Yeah, I think that's better.
Cool.
I don't have a green screen
that.
like, no worries. Don't have a green screen like Nathan, but
Oh, that's pretty stunning
classic
view,
PowerPoint. Yeah. So let me just, so this gives you an indication of, this graphic shows you, what a signature hike pack is. So in simplest terms, each pack contains a map and a guidebook. So you can see the map here. We've got, we've partnered with Ordnance Survey, who provide our mapping data, but we design these maps in-house and sustainably produce them in the UK. And you can see down the right-hand side, we've got navigational points just to give people that extra bit of know-how of where they are. And although we like to encourage people to get lost within a map, we feel that really heightens the experience. For peace of mind, we've also got a QR code, which you might be able to make out in the top right-hand corner, which if you hover your phone over, takes you straight to the digital route on the OS app. So you can see where you are in relation to the route or where you aren't. And we've also got a guidebook. So within this guidebook, it's everything you need to make that hike happen. So points of interest along the way, how to get there, the best cafes, pubs, kit list of what to bring. And we've got 15 of these hikes. So if I just show you, they're packaged up really nicely. They always get a good reception. So we've got 15 of these hikes, as I said, all accessible from London. To name a few locations, we've got one on the Jurassic Coast, North Downs, South Downs, Surrey Hills. We've even got one out in Margate. And due to the popularity of these, we're bringing out some more in spring. And these retail at £15. And as I said, we try and make it as easy as possible for our clients who sign up for this. So we provide monthly content, relevant content to walking, which they can then share with their employees. So that's our wellbeing scheme. And if anyone wants to hear more on that, then just let me know. Conscious of time, I'm going to move on to our other two offerings, which aren't happening right now because of COVID restrictions, but last year we ran a whole load of these. So I'll run through them and hopefully they'll be back up and running come spring, and if not, summer and autumn. So relationship building, under that bracket is our guided walks, which tend to be for anywhere between 6 and 12 people. Don't like to have more than that. And these walks, they're led by a guide, one of our guides, and one of our in-house team. So 2 people will be with you. And the aim really is just to get employees or clients together for a day out in nature. And there's no sort of raft building or sort of catching each other. It's very much a simple day out with an aim of people getting to know each other outside of work, outside of an email. And as I said, we ran a load of these last summer with great success. And within the day, there's also a pub lunch included at one of our pubs. And they tend to be again, this is up to the client, but they tend to be on the more accessible routes, so really accessible from London. This one here is in the North Downs, so half an hour on the train to Guildford Station, and you're on your way. So those are our guided walks. Then moving on to our CSR events. So these are bigger events that we partner with another company, an event logistics company, to deliver, who have massive experience within this field. And these events tend to be, they can be up to 250, 300 people, and these tend to have a charity raising angle on them. And we had a whole load booked in for this summer, which didn't happen, one up in Scotland, one in Yorkshire, and one down here closer to London. But the most notable one we've done to date was for Prudential, which was a night walk through London, a marathon night walk for 200 people, raising money for their relevant charity. And we put on the whole event. So those are, we're hoping, back up and running the next year. So yeah, we hope they're of interest. And then moving on to our offering this Christmas, it's very, very linked to the signature hikes I spoke about. But this Christmas, particularly, it's really important to send the right message to staff and employees. As Nathan said, it's been a really, really tough year for everyone, and we feel our Adventure Christmas box, which contains 3 signature hikes, a compass, one of our Vespucci So On Adventurers patch, and some stickers within there, and also a personalized note from your company's CEO, just to say, thanks for everything staff have done this year, and looking forward to next year. So that's packaged all up and sent round to staff. We, again, like the Walking From Home scheme, we fulfill everything in-house, so the workload on clients is relatively small. So yeah, that's what we offer in a nutshell. I don't think I've overrun. And
you're getting close.
And thank you very much again, Richard, for having us. And
there's a couple of questions in the chat for you, Alex, and other people put things on. So if you can lose your screen so we can bring Eliot in. But I think that's really interesting. I think it's beautifully packaged, and I would love to receive, anyone out there, I would love to receive a Vespucci gift.
One coming
they're
your
great.
way.
No, that's one buying one. But they look really good. It's nice. It's a good package.
Thank you.
To having a great idea. I personally asked you a couple of questions there about are the guides experts in the outdoors that can talk about the contours of the land, the wildlife, that sort of stuff, is not just follow me. We're turning right at the next junction.
Yeah, they are. So all our guides are, fully.
Right. So I gotta say, answer that in the chat, so everyone's got
in the
it.
chat.
And I'm gonna bring Eliot in there then. So
got it.
Eliot, you ready to share your screen? So Eliot's with Higher Space, our good friends that we all know at Higher Space, and they've pivoted again. They're always looking for the opportunities, and have come up with their is it the Christmas Big Top, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, Big Top. But yeah, thanks for letting us back. I know we've joined a couple of your sessions now, so good to be back. But yeah, I just wanted to run you through basically what's been our main focus for Christmas this year. I too don't have a green screen, but I do have a demo that I'm going to walk you through. But just before I do, I'll give you a little bit of context. So as you can probably imagine, since March, obviously we've been doing a lot of different virtual activities. I think we've mentioned some of them with you guys before. But a lot of our clients, as they started to approach a virtual Christmas, I think we were getting a lot of requests through that. Well, I think the general consensus was there was a lot of quiz fatigue going on, and they were asking us for something more, and they wanted a bit of a step up. So our team got to work, and we came across these guys that actually contribute to Burning Man Festival, which is that crazy festival in the Nevada desert in the States. If you're familiar with that one, it's one festival I definitely don't want to go to. It seems brutal, but they had a great concept for a virtual party, and we love the concept of it. But in all honesty, in its raw format then, it wasn't quite geared up for the corporate world. So we took a lot of ownership of that, rebranded it as Big Top, and we've been rolling that out to corporates over the last couple of months, and it's been going down a treat, which is great. We actually held a showcase event of this for our clients. Must be a month or two ago now. So I'm just actually going to jump back into that and run you through to give you a bit of a taster of what you can achieve. But in a nutshell, what it does is it allows clients to design their own festival party map where you can slot in loads of different party rooms, all housing different activities, to basically create their own kind of party vibes for a bit more of immersive, longer experience to try and replicate an actual office Christmas party as best you can. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. So hopefully the odd looking clowns popped up for you. This is a style of an entry room that we own. So when people actually landed at the event, we just had a bit of a holding page here. So this is obviously fairly basic for our showcase, but clients can actually brand it and do their own one. This is actually my boss in a snap filter doing a welcome message for our clients. Obviously, none of our clients actually want my boss doing their welcome, so they all create their own welcome videos, but you can have quite a lot of fun with it. We've had another one where they've actually created a snap filter of their CEO, and it's an actor kind of impersonating and doing bits like that. So there's a lot of little customization tweaks that you can pop in. But what we were encouraging people to add to a bit of the fun, we were to take a virtual taxi to the event. So they jumped in here, they joined the hosted room where there was an actor in there posing as a London cabbie. His background was changing, telling a few jokes, but actually crucially, he was dishing out quite a lot of info of what to expect for the evening and how to interact with the platform, because it is a new concept. And I think, you know, like everyone, every group, there's always a few tech shy people. So it's just good to kind of roll out the info, but in a bit more of a fun, engaging way. So we did it in the form of a taxi cab, but you can have it as a burly bouncer or a receptionist. There's loads of different ways that you could potentially have one of these entry rooms to kind of kick off the evening. And then once they do their spiel, they'll drop you off at the actual the event. So this is a sample event of what we had for our showcase. So as you can see here, you have a party map here with all the different tents housing different rooms. So you can see we've got a comedy club, there's a bingo hall, jazz cafe, and there's actually up to 40 different rooms now, I think, that are kind of treated as a shopping list that you can pick from and create your own party vibe. You obviously know your teams and you know what they're going to enjoy. So whether it's casino rooms or immersive acting rooms, and there's a room called the Queen's Speech, you know, there's lots of different options that you can create your own party experience. Worth noting as well, the actual design of this is one of the ready to go off the shelf templates that a lot of clients can pick from. There's a couple that they can just select and run with those. There are extra packages as well that if clients do want to completely brand their own thing and, you know, chuck their logos on and design their own party map, that's fine as well. We work with the creative team and they can create those. An example of that, we had one client that was due to have a boat party this year. Obviously not happening, but they wanted to still have that theme. So they've designed their own map all based around the river. All the tents and room names were changed to kind of fit in with that theme. So you can go the whole hog and completely brand it as your own, should you wish. But essentially, just show you here as well. You've got an overview of the rooms. So when you're on the actual event, you can see how many's partying in each room. And what's quite nice as well is that you don't have to have them all open at one time. You can actually stagger and have some tents open and hide the crowd a little bit. Quite good if you are trying to make a bit of a longer experience. As an example, you might want to, you know, at the start of the night, have a couple of kickoff rooms. Like for instance, at this showcase event, we just had the comedy club open. So we had some live comedy acts in there to kind of warm the crowd up. And then once maybe they'd had a beer and, you know, they were kind of ready to kind of go in, we opened up a few more of the rowdier rooms like the bingo or the karaoke room a bit later on. So you can kind of design the party experience, like have a bit of a flow and a structure to it as well, which is nice. I'm just going to jump into a couple of rooms if I've got time. Let's just jump into the jazz cafe. So you get a nice little blurb here of what's going on, and then you can click to join the room. Now, this particular room is great for, we styled it as a jazz cafe, but people can put any kind of live acts. I'm just going to pause the recording because that's going to interfere. But you can have any performance going on here, a magician, comedian, burlesque, just speeches, whatever you like. And if it's live, they can actually kind of interact with it, shout out to a band and send in requests. And what's quite nice about this style of room as well is that you've got the virtual tables here that you can jump on. I won't do it now because it takes a bit of time, but once you actually join one of those, literally to the side of this recording, it basically pops up with a Zoom call within the platform, so that if you just wanted to have a private chat with a small group, you can still keep an eye with what's going on the stage and listen to that. Also still just chat to a few of your team and catch up. That's a really good room that kind of suits for everyone. There's lots of other style of rooms as well. Some are a bit more interactive games, some are a bit more performance led. So you can really kind of create your own experience and see what your guests are going to enjoy. Numbers wise, anything from 25 up to 2,000. I think the biggest confirmed booking we've had so far is for 1,500, so it can handle some really big numbers. Obviously, they'd have a few more rooms than this available for that size. This was just a taster. And I think what's quite nice as well is a lot of companies have their own traditions as well, whether that's dishing out some silly awards or speeches. You notice here that we've got an info tent, which we used at our showcase more just for, it was an unmanned room for guests to drop in and ask questions to the HireSpace team about the platform and things like that. But companies at their Christmas parties are having a tent specifically set aside for their own companies. So they might kind of kick off with a couple of rooms, say at 7 o'clock, if that's when the party's kicking off. And then at 8 o'clock, all pile into the company tent for some company speeches, awards, and then they can open up some of the rowdier rooms after. But yeah, there's lots of options. There's a couple of options here where you can try and locate certain people if you're trying to hunt them down, or there's the group-wide chat that goes to the whole event. So you can kind of let people know if certain rooms are kicking off or are opening up. But yeah, like I said, it's been going down really well. Like, it's nice to have a product after this year for an events agency that clients actually seem really excited for. And yeah, it's been really popular. We've had to close off a few dates, and we've had some really great kind of press on it from the BBC and the Times lately. So it's been getting some really good recognition. And yeah, that's the concept in a nutshell. I know Priya's going to send a little bit more info if you want to have a little more of an in-depth read, but as a bit of an introduction, I'm not sure how much time I've got left. I think.
Yeah, no, that's great, Eliot. And there's a couple of questions popping up in the chat area for you to answer once we move into the other area. No, it looks great. Are you sending out, if a client wants to send, a little food parcel or drinks or something like that out, are you guys able to do that as well?
Yep, so there's lots of optional extra packages as well. So like I said, you can choose between like a preset template, or if you want to go the whole hog and whole 9 yards and customize it. And then we've got loads of different food and beverage options that if you want to send out some food and drinks, whether that's something quite basic, just some nibbles, right through to some gourmet hampers or finish at home meals. So you can still kind of create what vibe, like I said, it's trying to replicate what you might do at an actual party as best we can. But yeah, so there's loads of packages that you can add on to.
Excellent, thanks. So to pull to pull the other two guys, Alex and Nathan, back into the call, let's have a quick chat about employee engagement and the challenges that you see clients facing or approaching you. And I mean, to me, it's just must be so hard now how you help businesses engage with their people. And these are some of the solutions you've come up with. What are you finding are the big challenges clients are talking to you about?
I think for me, the biggest challenge is recently has been fitting everybody in, because all of a sudden, because the government flip-flop all the time, everybody, and it's a new sort of challenge, because normally we would be doing events at night time, but then everybody wants to run it in that 1 till 5 p.m. sort of period, because some people don't want to do stuff in the evening because feel like it's intruding on their evening because they would still be at home. And it's finding things with some of the stuff we do that they say to us, well, if the family are getting involved, can they still be part of it? And that's something that's fantastic about HireSpace as well. What they're doing and what Alex is doing is that all the things that we're offering today, you don't actually just have to go to as an individual. You can have your family involved in certain aspects of it as well. So I think you have to make things a lot more inclusive for everybody in the household, as opposed to just the employee that's going.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because it's not just the sort of the drinks at Christmas or the Christmas party in the big top somewhere. It's a immersive thing with the family, and of course, if they're family or friends, well, when you can get a few people around together, it's quite fun that there's a few people that you are interacting with. face to face as well as online.
Yeah.
What about the well-being impact? Again, the sort of stuff. I mean, this is your forte here, Alex, but that getting out there.
I think it's massively important at the moment. I'm someone who worked from home for the first 2 years of starting Vespucci, so I'm well versed in this, and I must have been one of the only people to sign on an office as lockdown hit, because I'd come to the end of what I could do from working from home. I'd run out of engagement with it. I'd really come to the end, so I had to sign on to an office. But I feel it's about getting a balance, and having a bit of structure. But I think, and it's also about engaging with fellow employees. I think that's something that our walks have been able to do. Obviously, you can only do it with a maximum of 6 people, but we found that anyone who's signed up to our walking from home scheme, you see, obviously they can do them individually and, as Nathan says, with their family, but you see employees wanting to get together and strike up that connection once again, and have that sense of belonging, which, if someone started at a company this year, they might not have even met any of their employees, which is crazy. So yeah, I think it's really important. But yeah, from a well-being point of view, it's just really important to make sure you're getting outside.
Yeah, and I think there's been some positives and negatives. So some major positives on the whole transition of working from home, working remotely, that people are feeling, okay, I could be more flexible. I think companies have been a lot more resistant to having that in the past, and now saying, you know what, this does work. So I think we're going to see city centres and things like that start to change over the years. But you still need that human interaction.
Yeah, you need a balance for sure. I think that it's nice to not be tied to an office for 5 days of the week, 9 to 5, but you still do need that engagement with your fellow employees for that sense of belonging. So yeah, I think a balance will be struck when we come out of this, hopefully.
Yeah. So any thoughts and intel of you guys around, what reward and recognition will look like in the future? The big incentive travel trips or more local activities, as one part we are the events industry and we are the travel trade, and should we be doing things more local than more international? I think there's been a massive acceptance that what the positive impact on the environment has been enormous with the CO2 emissions and everything else. So I'm just wondering how we see that sort of folding out in the future. I don't know if anyone's got any thoughts on that.
Well, I think you're right. The sustainability drive was already, that was already quite a hot topic, before COVID came along. And it's even more heightened now, like when you do think of things specifically like, incentive travel and that side of the business, where obviously that's not, well, in my opinion, that's not going to disappear, and it shouldn't. But I think what will change is people's mindsets in their approach to it, of maybe a little bit less free will and a little bit more conscious thought of how often they do those and to who they roll that out to. I think it was getting to a point where you could be invited on one of those, like a fam trip here. You could go on one every week if you really wanted to. And I think it's going to be scaled back a little bit. And I think it'd be a bit more of a targeted approach, so that you're getting the right people in the right places, rather than it being a little bit of an open invite to whoever and just come along. So I think, yeah, it definitely ties into that sustainability bit. And I think, yeah, hopefully it's just going to have a bit more of a methodical approach when that kind of side reopens again.
Yeah, and engaging with people to make that whole pushing down of the sustainable messaging through the organisation, so people also think about, okay, what am I doing as an individual? What are we doing as a company? What are we doing with our supply chain, etc.?
I think it might actually affect. I think the events, you'd probably still have the big events, once we're allowed. I said, but it may affect the meetings beforehand and things like that. I'm based in Sheffield, but I used to be in London 2-3 times a week, and I'd be traveling back and forth having face-to-face meetings.
Yeah.
Whereas now we've seen the capabilities of Zoom, MS Teams, and everything like that. I think the actual CO2 emissions will still go down because people will be more aware of how much it's dropped. So it might be a case of the meetings, you would have more online meetings and more planning stages online. But then I still believe that eventually the big events are going to come back, because it's what everybody's thrived on for years and years, isn't it? And as much as online is fantastic, that human connection, which is what we're all trying to do online as well, and all been successful at, but that human connection with people is what everybody lives off day to day.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the other side of that, though, is the hybrid, so the virtual event has shown us how much further we can reach online. You know, whereas you might have had 200 people attend your 2-day conference, you're all of a sudden you can be up in the thousands, because everyone says yes, I'll come, but they'll drop in and drop out. I think that's where the whole thing is going to start to change, and that's where the hybrid will come in. Because I don't think, you know, the minute the doors are open again to travel and to have meetings and everything else, I don't think we will lose now the introduction of technology within the event environment. Nathan, one of the things that was brought up in a meeting the other day, and here you are exempling it, is the green screen. Everyone's talking about how the cost of these things, the cost of making presentations more interesting and more cost effective, but it's too expensive. But my understanding is it's not expensive.
No, not all really. I mean, as an idea for of costs for our events, for our around the world, for example, we charge a £450 setup and then £15 per person. So I don't think that's too expensive at all. And then if people want us to take a green screen to somebody and record something, which we've done for some of our clients so that they can put a video message out to people, then depending upon where they are in the country, but you're only really looking at about £1,000 to get it all. That's including somebody going and filming it all. So it's, once you've got the technology as well, I mean, Zoom itself, I'm on a different, when I was presenting before, we had a different setup with all different cameras, but I'm actually now just sat in front of our green screen with my laptop. So Zoom itself, once you've got a green screen up behind you, you can even just pin it to your wall and you can choose your own virtual background. So a lot of these Zoom, MS Teams, all these different things have a lot of inbuilt technology that you can use to your advantage. So a lot of the time you can create something that looks very professional without actually, although I shouldn't say this, without having to use a paid service for it.
No, I think, and yeah, and dropping presentations into those and stuff like that. This is again where it's all going to go and get more, you know, as we all get more technical savvy, and that will drive costs down, and we can make it. Because I've been banging on my drum about, you know, TV style presentations and stuff like that, because you're absolutely right. You showed that screen of all those, you know, slate faces on Zooms. So we need to make a presentation more engaging, more interesting to the audience watching it. So it's kind of like they are watching TV. You can bring people in from different places.
It is, with different software that you can use now, you can actually superimpose people into different areas of the screen as well. So if you were, say I was on screen and I was talking, and then the MD was elsewhere and CEO was elsewhere and he wanted to give a message, we can drag his video feed in so that he would just be a talking head at the side of me and things like that. And you can drop people in and out. And there's lots of different ways in which you can make things more interesting. Everybody just assumes that every online event is going to be the same, but there's so many ways that you can make it different and make it look and feel special. And, you know, what iSpace is doing, where you can have the Zoom at the side of the performance, is amazing as well, isn't it? So there's all these different ways that you can do it, and it makes it feel, because everybody is quiz zoomed out, everybody is fed up of watching their mum ask you questions on Zoom or whatever it may be. But with all the different bits that you can do now, it makes it more interactive, it makes it more fun. So I think it's quite exciting as to what's going to come next.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you all so very much indeed. Really interesting. So Priya's going to be circulating a sort of short synopsis of each business. We'll have links, contact details. I think it's in PDFs, and the video will be on the website tomorrow. I don't think there's any more questions before we shoot off from anyone in the audience. We looked at those. Priya, do you want to jump into Priya? Was there anything not answered?
No, I think we've got everything.
Excellent. Guys, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.